About a year ago, we filmed a podcast series called Surviving the Shiny Happy People Cult. My good friend Brice joined me as co-host for that series, and shortly after we filmed, he actually had to take a mental health hiatus. But tonight, Brice is back. He's going to update us on everything that's been going on in the world of the Shiny Happy People Cult, and also tell us a little bit about what's been going on in his life. Brice, what's up, man? Good to have you back, dude.
I'm back, and I'm still looking for my mental health. So if we can find it and reel it in, that would be fantastic.
It's still lost.
It's
somewhere out there, dude.
It's somewhere in a dive bar, but probably
Lindsay
happy.
Williams, bless her heart, she has really tried to help us find our mental health, and it's just not working yet. It just isn't.
She's like therapist adjacent.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
She's given me all kinds of great advice that I have not taken at all. You know,
I tried to take
You tried?
that. Yeah.
Well, you go to therapy on a regular basis, right?
Heck yes, I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thankfully,
Yeah,
I needed
it
it
at some point.
It was, we're used to getting life hitting us in batches.
Yeah.
And then this was just like a nuclear warhead of life hit me in one
Dude, it went
thing.
off.
It was just, you're never prepared.
No.
I was not prepared.
And I know you like your privacy, but is there anything that you would like to share as far as what's been going on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say some of it, but the long and short of it is that cancer sucks. And my dad was diagnosed, and 6 weeks later he was gone. And that was very surprising and unfortunate. But I'm lucky enough that my insurance allowed me to spend that entire time with my dad and helping to take care of him. And then afterwards, I've been helping my mom. So...
Yep.
You just don't even know all the stuff that has to happen, even when you think you have all the things prepared. Like, because my dad is somebody that prepared for a lot of contingencies, and it's still just, our system is just wild. It makes almost no sense.
Dude, and that was just such a tough experience, man. And I know I've already told you, but I'm so sorry for what happened. But watching you work through that, with the support of friends, the support of some of your family, it's been really cool to see how you have just really stepped up, dude, in spite of everything that you've been going through. So I'm proud of you, man, and I'm so glad you're back.
I'm back. I'm ready to be back, and there's still things that are being done. Still taking care of. It's a second job,
right?
Put it that way. It's a second job. But there is a end in sight, I think.
Good.
So that is the goal, is to just get it all tucked away so that I can continue to take care of my mom and also maybe come back and have a little bit of a life.
That's right. Yeah, having a life again would be great.
Yes, exactly. So that's basically like a third of the stuff that was going on. Yeah. Maybe I'll save the other 2/3 for other shows. Because it's just too much to...
Dude, it's been a real whirlwind. Your life has been so chaotic for the past few months. But
and you know what? I'll say this. I lost 3 relatives in 2 months.
Man.
So it was like boom, boom, boom.
That's brutal, dude.
It was wild.
Yeah, so good thing that you were already going to therapy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I honestly don't know how I would react.
I've been to therapist before, and this one I picked, like I had a list that I could pick from, and it said, specializes in trauma therapy. I'm like,
nice.
This guy.
Yeah.
I need to talk to this
Actually,
guy.
while you were gone, I had one of my very good friends, Dr. Kristen Casey. She's also a trauma therapist, and man, she had some really cool insight.
I watched that episode.
Oh, you did watch it?
Yeah. I was, cuddled on the couch with a pillow, rocking back and forth, crying. But I watched it, petting my cat.
I tried to make it semi-funny, dude, but man, she hits hard.
It's a serious subject, but if you just look at what's going on overall, and that's just isolated to America, and it's like all of the government stuff they should be focusing on is like, we need a therapist in every home or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a great platform to run
give
on.
me a therapist in every school. I know they have like a type of therapist. No, we need psychiatrists in
Right.
like every school district.
We need these kids on pills. Okay?
No,
That's what
no.
we need. No?
We need them to talk to somebody.
Okay.
They're already on pills.
I like
That's the
pills.
easy.
Whatever.
Yes, you do.
Just
Yes,
cover
you
it with
do.
pills, y'all. That's a joke. I'm kidding. Please don't take my advice. I am not a therapist or mental health or any type of.
Look, you
professional,
can get through life very well if you never take advice from Davey. That's all I'm saying.
That is the best advice that you'll ever hear on this podcast, man. What's been really interesting, and actually, you joined us for a couple of the episodes, that came after the original series. And one of the episodes in particular, we talked about the mommy answer lady.
She's so wonderful.
Oh, yeah, just the world's biggest gaslighter. And she even went so far. So she harassed a bunch of the Shiny Happy People cult victims and even went so far as to create her own documentary, essentially as a rebuttal to Amazon Prime's Shiny Happy People documentary.
Yes.
What does she call it?
Shiny
slander?
Yeah, shiny slander.
Or some stupid nonsense? Whatever. Anyways.
No, the public likes that kind of a title.
Oh yeah, the back.
It's catchy. It's
The tit
shiny
for tat.
slander.
Yeah.
It's a good title. I'll give her that. But
So, obviously we talked about that. We actually discovered that she was never in the Shiny Happy People cult, wasn't even associated with the cult except for some family friends that she had that were in the cult. As a matter of fact, she's not even an evangelical.
No.
She's not even a Christian technically. She's actually Mormon. And so for whatever reason, she just decided that she was going to carry the torch for the Shiny Happy People cult and Bill Gothard.
well, I mean, the reason is that she wanted to catch the wave of what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
And boost her own.
Yeah, it
whatever.
was all a clout play. She's just a clout
100%.
a clout goblin. That's
Yeah.
it. Well, interestingly, so she starts making this documentary. I don't know if she actually finished it or not, but she did release a trailer.
Yes.
And we watched the trailer. It's garbage. Very well shot, though. I will say that.
She's got it. Well, I mean, the stock footage looks great.
The stock
It's a lot of stock footage. So much stock footage.
One of the funny things that we mentioned is she dragged the Shiny Happy People documentary for using, very dramatic music and all
Yeah.
these dramatic camera shots. She did the exact same thing in her documentary trailer.
It's called a documentary. It's called filmmaking.
Right.
Do you want people to watch it or fall asleep?
Yeah, exactly. So we watched that, laughed, obviously, because it's ridiculous. But then apparently, and I haven't even watched the clips. I think you have these clips prepared, which we are going to watch tonight. But apparently she started making a series of response clips to the episodes that we did.
Yeah.
Basically dragging me through the mud, dragging Lindsey Williams through the mud, and dragging a bunch of other people. Laura Smith.
It's like a two-parter.
Chad, I think, even.
Yep.
Just dragged them all through the mud in these clips that she's making, essentially trying to defend the Shiny Happy People cult, which is just bizarre anyway, because there's not a sane person on this planet, aside from people who are still making money off the cult. There's not a sane person on this planet who's going to say, no, yeah, that was a good thing. The cult was a good thing. What they were doing to children was a good thing. But then again, Mommy Answer Lady apparently advocates for beating your kids with windshield wipers. So, I mean, really, what can you expect?
Yeah.
Aside from just more insanity.
What's weird is that she came out with that trailer, and then like a couple of months went by. I feel like nothing, right?
Yeah.
She has been releasing, I swear there's 10 new clips. It's like she's taken her documentary and cut it up and targeted all different people. And it's very random. Like this clip is 20 minutes and that clip is 3 minutes. And it's like, what is she?
Do you think she's trying to promote the documentary, or are these actually clips from the documentary?
I don't know. They're very well produced. They look like the trailer. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Maybe she's just trying to garner up
more support.
some sort of an audience so that she can.
Because she was
sell
trying to raise money,
Yeah.
like with a GoFundMe, to pay for the documentary. Which, I mean, what kind of crazy people are going to donate to that? I guess some of the
Lots of
the
crazy
holdover fundamentalists, I suppose.
There are still a lot of fundamentalists.
That blows my mind. First of all,
I have been watching a lot of documentaries, and it is like, I don't know, man. It's like a buffet. It's like you're going to the Golden Corral. You're going to get Americana food. You get chicken and you got meatloaf and mashed potatoes and peas. They're all the same thing in the same food group of American foods.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, the fundamentalists, like just the fundamental Baptist churches, them independent churches themselves have their own terrorist type, like the women coming out and be like, this is what I went through and it was awful.
Right.
And then there's like this whole other thing where some guy spun up all these schools and claimed that he could fix these children.
I have so many friends that went to those schools too. We actually did an episode with a lady who went to one of the Cross Creek Academy schools. That was insane. I mean, her story was crazy. I mean, heartbreakingly crazy.
The schools still exist.
Yeah.
The guy that is behind all of them, he does, shell companies and he layers it to get his name as distant as possible. But yeah.
Well, there was the one documentary also called The Program.
That's the one I'm talking about.
That's the one you're talking about. Okay, so the Cross Creek stuff that we talked about on one of the Friends with Davey episodes, totally separate.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. These things exist all over the place in multiple different groups.
Yeah.
So a lot of different people having the same horrifically bad idea. But the school stuff reminded me a lot of the compound programs that we went to with the Shiny Happy People Club.
I'm going to say right now, if I had to choose, I will choose Shiny Happy People over the program.
Maybe some of the ones that you went to.
No. I'm telling you right now, any of the training centers are a better option than the program, okay?
Yeah.
They didn't make you sit in a room for 8 hours chanting the same thing.
Me, pick me. I did.
For 8 hours?
Well, I was locked in
same
solitary
thing?
confinement for a week.
Yeah. These kids sat in a circle and they had to do this weird thing and they had to say this phrase.
Weird.
And yeah, like they would get points deducted if they looked at somebody, if they looked outside, and they got zero education. It was wild. That documentary, like, those kids went through a lot.
Yeah, man. I mean, all of those teen camps or whatever they're called. There's a specific name for it. Troubled teens.
Yeah.
The industry is called the troubled teen camps. Those things are
they're spending
diabolical.
like $50,000 to send their kid to a place where there's not getting an education.
Yeah.
There's like no certified teachers. There's no certifications at all.
It's basically just to brainwash them into
They brainwash
behaving
these
the
children.
way the parents want them to.
Yeah, they brainwash these children to confessing to all the stuff they didn't do just so they can get to the next level of the program.
Right.
So that their lives are a little bit easier.
And then they send them, once they're done with the program, they send them home so that they can proselytize all their friends and their friends' families to get more people.
But that doesn't actually work with the program because these kids come out of there just ready to burn the place to the ground.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like our program. We all graduated and we're like, absolutely not. Like, no,
Don't go there.
No.
Do not do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So there's been a lot of new documentaries coming out about these cult type subjects. It's kind of popular right now. It's almost like the true crime documentary.
I didn't realize how many of this stuff, like we're just ruining children left and right. I'm for freedom of religion, but I'm ready for the government to let's go in and observe. Maybe we need to certify that these places are not.
Well, the fact that they can operate as nonprofits is mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I know not all of them are nonprofits, but there are enough of them that are.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to me. So you've just got these people making millions and millions of dollars, brainwashing children, brainwashing adults even,
Oh, yeah.
and not having to pay taxes on it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
I haven't figured out the exact business plan, but when I do, you and I, buddy.
Oh, we're just going to start a cult. Remember we talked about
Absolutely.
that, and Lindsey Williams will be our cult leader, the de facto leader of
I'm
the
down.
cult.
I'm tired of making decisions. Oh, you're gonna take care of me? Sign me up. I'll cook. Let's go.
So let's get back to Mommy Answer Lady. And
Yes.
before we go any further with this, we have to give our normal disclaimer, right? Do not go to her channel. Do not watch her videos. She has a couple different channels now, one for the shiny slander stuff and one for her Mommy Answer Lady bullshit. Don't support her in any way. Even if you're going and watching the video and disliking the video or leaving, nasty comments, if you will, don't do any of it. The best way to keep her from getting any kind of traction at all is just ignoring it entirely. Now, obviously, Brice had to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yes.
Go and watch some of these videos to pull clips so that we could share them with you. But just watch this episode. Don't pay attention to her channels. Just don't do it. And if you really want some in-depth analysis on it, we're going to have to bring Lindsey Williams back to do an episode because she's been tracking this stuff very, very closely.
I only pulled a couple of clips from one clip where she was targeting us. So she featured us, I should say.
Okay.
Not target, featured.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's
She actually sent me she sent me a message through social media thanking me for all the clips. I didn't open it, didn't respond. I didn't even want to open the message and let her know that, hey, I saw it come through. I just deleted it immediately.
However, all of that being said, if she would like to come on the show.
Oh,
Anytime.
the offer stands.
Anytime.
Holly, a.k.a. Mommy Answer Lady, anytime you would like to do an episode.
And as soon as you get the exact same amount of subscribers as we do, then we'll come on your show.
Sure. Yeah, that's actually that's a fair offer.
I think it's fair.
Totally fair.
She's got 300 subscribers, so
I mean, I'll even consider flying you out.
there we go.
I might even do that when we could just have a good old time here in Texas. Film
Exactly.
a fun little podcast episode. Oh, the other thing, I can't remember which video or which episode it was of ours, but her oldest son actually commented on one of the videos, basically apologizing for all the bullshit his mother is spewing. And even, if I'm not mistaken, did a live stream at some point with Lindsey Williams and I think Chad too.
Yeah, like on TikTok or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where it was. I just know they did a live stream together. So he is horrified by what his mother is doing. And we also did an episode with, I believe it was her nephew.
Yeah.
That confirmed all of our suspicions that she was never part of the evangelical community, never affiliated with, the shiny happy people cult, and in fact was not a fundamental Mormon, because that would imply polygamy and all that. So not a fundamental Mormon in the truest sense of the word, but a very conservative Mormon. Let's put it
Definitely
that way. Not one of the fun Mormons.
Yeah,
not one of
yeah.
the cool fun Mormons.
Definitely in a religion that Bill Gothard did not agree with.
Oh, would absolutely call them apostate. Well, not even apostates, really, just false prophets, I think is probably what Bill Gothard
I like to
referred them
default
as.
to heathen.
Heathen, yeah. Yeah, barbarian. Infidel, maybe?
No. Now you're no.
No? Okay.
Heathen.
Heathen.
Come on.
Heathen,
This
whatever.
is the South, sir.
A sinner.
It's
what you
yeah.
are. You're a sinner.
Exactly.
Okay. So you have reviewed some of the episodes.
Yes.
Some of the recent episodes that she published attacking us, correct?
Not really. I mean, she tries to spin her version of something using us as an example. But
Interesting.
at the end, and try to remind me, I forgot to type this up just to remind myself, but I have an interesting thought and spin on the whole thing with her. So let's watch.
A little final thoughts with Brice. I love it. All right. So we've got the clips ready, and Brice is going to play these for us. Do you want to give us kind of a summary of this first clip, Brice?
Well, what I liked about this was her, she's summarizing what is a cult.
Okay.
So I'm just going to let her go through her list, and then I'm going to pause it so that we can deconstruct it a little bit.
Fantastic. Let's play this bad boy.
Number 1 was a charismatic leader. Number 2 was dictatorial control by that leader. 3 was isolation from family and friends that are not involved. 4, no tolerance for questions or criticism of cult practices. 5, unquestioned adherence to the leader's dictates. And 6, punishments for leaving the group or not adhering to dictates, such as shunning, isolation in some way, or even violence.
Okay. Now, she does this list. In the rest of the video, she literally takes each point and points out different things about, she's like, oh, well,
Wait, are you telling me that her argument is that this does not apply?
Yes.
To the shiny happy people cult?
Yes.
This is
So
these are basic tenets of the shiny happy people cult.
she acknowledges that number 1 is correct. Bill Gothard was a charismatic leader.
Yeah, just because he's ugly doesn't mean he's not charismatic.
He's charming,
I guess in a way.
Her arguments, she is looking at traditional cults. And she says that, when you say cult, you think of, and she mentions the
Branch Davidians in Waco?
the Branch Davidians. She
Yeah.
mentions the, I can't remember there was the 70s stuff, the
Yeah.
Jonestown and the
Right,
Children
right.
of God or whatever. And yes, that is your general thought process when someone says cult. It's like everybody
Oh,
goes
those are the
to the
classics, dude.
compound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You go to the compound, you give up your money, and you give them like your women, and
Everyone lives together in a commune.
right. Let's go
Sure.
full, whatever. Okay, that's a traditional cult.
I wouldn't even say it's necessarily a traditional cult. It's just the most popularized version of a cult.
Yes, exactly. So she goes through this list. So we've got charismatic leaders, number 1. Number 2 is dictatorial control by that leader.
Right.
I have an interesting take on that one. Isolation from family and friends not involved is 100% true.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got isolated at the compounds, even if your friends and families were involved.
Yeah.
But if your friends and families didn't agree with the shiny happy cult teaching or shiny happy people cult teachings, oh yeah, you were encouraged to essentially ostracize them.
At one point, she uses this point. She's like, no, they wanted us to go out and witness and blah, blah. I was like, when, where, and how?
That was Bill Gothard's job. That was the basic seminar.
When we got to the training center, we were pretty much on lockdown to protect us from the world. There was very little, there were certain things here and there, but like their ministry was not going to the people that needed it. Was convincing people to come to them or convincing government to send them the people.
Yes.
And so I did not see very little witnessing or outreach,
right,
if you will. It was all, this is the new program. We're going to take orphans from Russia, and this is the new program. We're going to take juvenile. It's like you could have gone, I guess, to these places.
So one aspect of this is, I will say that Bill Gothard did not encourage spouses to divorce their husband or wife if they were not Christian.
Yeah.
You were supposed to continue witnessing to them. So I guess there's some sort of argument that could be made there. But in reality, no, I would 100% say we were very isolated.
Yes.
Very restricted and repressed. And if you had friends or family that didn't agree with the lifestyle that we were forced to live, those people were anathema, is the phrase that was used consistently.
One of the things that I have personally recently experienced during all of this life trauma I've been dealing with is that my extended family realizes a lot more about what was going on, that they didn't understand it. There was a general pullback from our family, and with good reason.
Right.
Who wants to hang around with people that are judging them?
Yeah.
And so they pulled back. And now I'm like, I have all this regret. And I could have had a closer relationship with my extended family because they're great people. They're not awful. You know, there were things that were, you know, said at home that were not true or just spun out.
Yeah.
So anyway, all of that being said, that extended family, even though it wasn't that I had a bad relationship, it was just more distant than I wanted it to be.
Sure.
They stepped up. Man, they showed up. And I could not have done what, you know, gotten through all of this with my family without the support of my extended family, and we're closer than ever.
Yeah.
It's
And
fantastic.
that's one of the things that you brought up on the podcast series was after there was kind of this distancing from your parents, you were able to reach out to your extended family and really get the support from them that you needed, not having your parents in your life anymore.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that goes way back for you because, I mean, what that's been like a 5-year process for you, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
My memory is just shot from all this stuff. Yeah, I know, like, right? Who have I told what to? I don't know. I should just make a video. And
as Lindsay calls it, trauma brain. Y'all.
Yeah, trauma brain.
Okay. So we've got these 6 basic characteristics of a cult.
Right.
4, 5, and 6. Number 4, no tolerance for questions or criticism of cult practices. I mean, I would absolutely say that was our experience in the Shiny Happy People.
The interesting thing about that is while I don't think that Bill Gothard ever mandated that, but his directors of all of the facilities, they just practiced that regardless. Like you did not question
that was
the
default
teachings. It was exactly. It was
absolutely not.
He didn't have to say it.
Right.
It was just like, of course, if you say something other than what we believe, you're done.
Yeah, if Bill Gothard comes out with his 6 reasons why showing your shoulder blades is sinful, everyone's just going to fall in line.
Yeah.
And there absolutely wasn't room for questioning there. I mean, I think back to his whole philosophy and teaching on how many kids you're supposed to have.
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically, hey, if you as a man have gotten a vasectomy, you need to get that reversed and try to have more kids. And that's just what you should be doing because that's God's will.
I had no idea that they were shaming women that had 1 or 2 children. I don't know that they ever did that to my mom or she ever expressed it or what. She wasn't around in training centers, I guess, long enough. But anyway, look for, shoulderbladesbear.com from Davey soon.
That's going to be our new merch line. A line of shoulder blade only shirts. Just cutouts for the shoulder blades.
Yeah, lightning.
And that's it. Yeah. We'll make some really cool designs there. Unquestioned adherence to leaders' dictates. I mean, we've already talked about that. Bill Gothard was, by all accounts, God's prophet.
Yeah.
And anyone who says that people were challenging him or questioning him, how do you think he got away with this stuff for so long? It wasn't the leadership at the cult that called him out for inappropriate behavior and grooming and abuse. It was former students.
Right.
So no one questioned him within the organization. He was allowed to do whatever, and they knew about it. They absolutely knew about it.
And that's what makes this very unique because a lot of these other cults, they had no legal structure. It's just like, hey, we're following David Koresh. Yay. This cult had a board of directors.
It was a business.
It was, yes.
A very profitable
and
business.
And they did exactly what corporations do today.
Yeah.
Hey, it's working and the money's coming in, so let's just shuffle all this aside and don't worry about it.
Don't look over there while he's playing footsie with his interns.
Right.
Yeah.
Who cannot even drink yet, but yes, exactly.
And number 6 was punishment, which is hilarious to me, especially given Mommy Answer Lady's background. So punishment for leaving the group, not adhering to dictates. Okay, so here's the thing about leaving the group. Let's just address that first. If you left the shiny happy people cult, disavowed yourself from the shiny happy people cult, you no longer had friends within the shiny happy people cult.
She's going to quote you on what you just said.
What do you mean?
You said that before, and that's one of the clips.
Is it really?
Yeah. Let's finish this clip.
Okay.
There are also 3 other characteristics that solidify a group being a cult, but don't necessarily have to be in place to define a group that way. Those are boundaries. That means boundaries within a certain location where cult members live together. Separation of family units. The leader either breaks up all the family units and the members of the cult live as one big group where there are not family units at all, or the leader determines which families stay together as a unit at his discretion. And the other one is acquisition of all money and assets. The members give all control of their money and assets to the leader of the cult.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. I just want to point out that for number 2, separation of family units or whatever it was,
right?
She used Warren Jeffs as the example. That seems a little hypocritical, Holly. That's part of your religion. Now, granted, they're the fundamental Latter-day Saints, but so are you in a cult, Holly, or is that just an offshoot of the cult that you're in?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because she has zero experience and because she chooses not to believe those of us that went through it, she doesn't understand that, just all you have to do is take your story or Lindsay's story and be like, did you want to be there? No. Would you had rather gone home and been with your family?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lindsay tried many times, and they're like, no, she should stay here. She definitely needs more help.
So that one, it's even a little more nuanced than that for Lindsay because life at home was so bad.
That's true. At first, she didn't want to go for a long time.
She wanted to be.
Separated from her family.
Yeah, please separate me from my family. They are nuts.
So why didn't the leadership then just address the entire family? It's like, well, this family is separated.
Yeah.
There is a rift. We should bring the family together. No. They just keep pounding on. If one person, if it's the children.
Yeah.
If it's the children, then they're wrong and they need to be fixed. If it's the parents, then.
Well, that's your umbrella of authority, obviously.
Obviously.
So as long as they're not doing anything illegal, like so horrific that it's against the law, then they just have to let them do their thing.
They did do that stuff.
They did a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah.
The boundaries thing. So
all we had was rules.
Well, she said it was geographical boundaries. What do you call the compounds all over the country, all over the world? Those were geographical boundaries. And I understand that not everyone lived in the compounds, but as we discovered, you and I didn't even know this at first, but there were cult representatives that would go visit the families to make sure they were following the rules right.
Yep.
I mean...
Yeah, no, let's watch the next clip, because I took clips that were where she's addressing these things.
Well, I did want to just talk about the money thing real quick.
Yeah.
Because she's right. We didn't have to turn over control of our finances, but we paid so much money into the cult. You might as well have just taken control of the bank accounts. And if you had the misfortune to be a worker for the cult, you made so little money that it wasn't even a livable wage.
Well, for a long time, your parents would be paying for you to work and do manual labor.
For free.
They're paying the cult
Yes.
to use their child for labor.
Right.
And
that benefits the cult.
That benefits the cult.
So, no, they weren't taking control of your bank accounts. They were just scamming. That's really what it was.
Oh,
they just scammed you out of all your money. Oh, sorry that one doesn't specifically apply in the way that Holly needs it to.
Yeah, and it's always shocking that every year he came up with like 2 or 3 new programs for you to send your children to that cost like $2,000.
And this one is definitely the one that will make sure they go to heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I missed that one.
So next clip here.
This one is about family rules.
Uh-huh. Okay.
It was completely up to each family what they would and would not do within their own family unit. For example, there was a discussion between two disgruntled IBLP participants online where they were both in families that were involved in attending IBLP seminars, were both enrolled in ATI, the homeschool program that IBLP developed and sponsored, and one family did things one way while the other one did things another way.
You know, we weren't allowed to watch TV. We didn't go to movies. The only thing that we had was like this tiny little 9-inch garage TV, with the antenna and everything. And my parents would hook that up to a VCR player, and we could watch these Christian movies. So I didn't have any exposure to the outside world for years. I would go to the conferences, I would go to the seminars, and so I would meet other people, but that also had the exact same ideology.
Right.
So yours was a little bit different, where you were experiencing other thoughts and opinions and people.
I got to be amongst the heathens at the First Baptist Church, which means I was around girls that were not in dresses all the time. We had a TV at home. We still watched network TV.
Really?
We watched network TV. Every now and then we'd get like a try cable for 2 weeks for free, and then my mother would like record every movie so that we would watch it later.
Yeah.
There are many examples of how families were choosing how to apply principles and which they were going to apply and which they were not going to apply. The idea that all families were somehow dictated to by Bill Gothard and IBLP about what they would allow and not allow in their own homes is just not true.
How'd you like that winter beard? It was pretty nice, right?
Oh yeah, that was nice. That was real nice. You were very lumberjacky. The way that she's twisting this to fit her narrative is so infuriating. There were definitely families that enforced or applied the rules differently, but that doesn't mean that IBLP, the Shiny Happy People cult, or Bill Gothard would have approved of that. Bill Gothard would have been horrified if he knew your mother was allowing you to watch secular
Oh
TV.
my gosh. I don't even know what would have happened if they found out. As far as, I'm sure we would have got a visit from the family, whatever, and there would have been phone calls, and they might have kicked us out of the program, honestly.
Yeah.
It's entirely, if we did not conform and they didn't get like a verification or something, haul that 27-inch tube TV out of the living room, set it on fire while singing, there would have been consequences.
My buddy, Dedrick Flynn, calls those kinds of TVs big booty TVs.
He's not wrong.
Thickums TVs, caked up televisions.
Carrying those up 3 flights of stairs back in the day.
Man, dude, they were so heavy.
Yeah.
Did y'all have a tablecloth across the top of yours, by the way? Your big tube?
No.
Okay, we had decorations on ours. But anyways.
You had a tiny TV, sir.
Well, for a brief period of my youth, before it broke down, and actually this was before we were in the cult, we did have a larger like furniture piece of the TV. You know what I'm talking about? Like it had the wood.
I miss those.
The wood trim and everything.
Yeah.
It was nice and heavy as shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wherever you set that's where it was going to
But then once that one broke, we were limited to the tiny garage TV.
Oh yeah.
Now I will say that at some point, like my dad, I don't even remember how old I was, but my dad took me to see Jurassic Park.
Oh man.
At the Dollar Theater.
Well, how old were you in 1994?
That was 1994 that came out? I would have only been 11 years old.
I was 14.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I was older than that for some reason, but that was actually also before we were in the cult. So at least I think
one of my favorite movies.
I don't know. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, yes, different families applied the rules differently, applied the principles differently, but that does not mean that the cult ever would have supported that. And in fact, they would have, that would have just been horrifying and scandalous for a lot of the people that were, ardent supporters of the cult.
As somebody who spent years in training centers, and then you get close to people and you start to trust them and you're like, okay, this person's not going to rat me out. Mm-hmm. You find out that it's not unusual for families to pick and choose exactly how they were going to participate and then completely hide it
Right.
from the rest of the organization.
Yeah, but once again, that doesn't mean the Shiny Happy People cult approved of that type of behavior. It
No.
just means that they didn't want to stop the money train. As long as you were still funneling cash into the cult, it's not like they were going to let you do whatever you wanted. But basically, as long as you weren't at a training center, as long as you were doing this in the privacy of your own home, if you will, I don't really think they had any way to enforce it other than a cult family representative seeing the misbehavior and then kicking you out of the Shiny Happy People cult.
Exactly. Let's watch the last clip.
Oh, I can't wait for this last one.
But here, there is no punishment of any kind. A person who does not adhere to some of the teachings in IBLP is not shunned, by IBLP anyway. They're not banned from attending IBLP events, conferences, or activities. If they listen to a heavy metal band one day, they can go to an IBLP event the next day. They can do whatever they want. I've heard all kinds of claims, but here's a clip of someone claiming that listening to the wrong kind of music would get him immediately excommunicated. And in context, he's talking about from IBLP. And he is one of several online that claim it was a cult.
Because a lot of people would just think, oh, they weren't allowed to listen to secular rock music. No, we weren't even allowed to listen to Christian rock music. You could listen to hymns, gospel music, and classical music.
Yes.
Those were the categories, and that is what you were limited to.
She threw away my DC Talk tape, bro.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
My
if
DC
my mom
Talk
knew
tape.
that one of my church friends let me listen to their DC Talk CD, oh, I would have been immediately excommunicated.
So there is no such thing as being excommunicated from IBLP. Again, IBLP did not have that kind of rule or punishment.
Right, because it's an organization, not a church.
That's
So you can
so
be
stupid.
You can be fired.
Yeah.
You're on staff, and they find you doing it, which happened to Lindsay's husband.
Happened all the time.
Right, they catch you doing
If they
something.
caught you doing something, against the rules, they would punish you, right? If it was a grievous enough infraction, you were out.
If you were going after one of Mr. Gothard's girls,
Oh, yeah.
there's no
You're
coming
done,
back
buddy.
from that.
I mean, and here's what's so goofy about what she's saying. She's saying you could go to a heavy metal concert one night and then go to a seminar the next day. Well, yeah, of course you could, because they didn't have any way to enforce that, because they didn't keep all of the cult members inside the compound at all times. And so, yeah, you could go get away with stuff, but that doesn't mean that the cult approved of it. And if they found out that you were going to heavy metal concerts, you would absolutely be labeled as a heretic or an apostate or backslidden or whatever, word du jour Bill Gothard was using. And he's not going to let you taint the cult's image. He talked about that all the time, that we were representatives
Yeah.
for the cult. Now, he said for the Lord, but really it was for the cult. That's why he wanted everyone wearing the same thing, so we all looked like a big, happy, weirdo team, right?
Well, one of the big fears is you don't want to bring shame to your family,
Right.
And also you don't want to bring shame to the cult, because you're representing them. And I was on staff, so I was representing them, so I had to toe the line.
Right.
I got in trouble a few times, but nothing significant, just telling me to calm down, basically. But yeah, I mean, I saw people, if they stepped way out of line, then they'd get paired up with a senior staff member, and they would just be praying for a week, just all the time, reading the Bible.
Here's a perfect example. You knew, well, I don't know if you personally knew the Vollers. You knew of them,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So Mr. Voller, the patriarch of the family, was very high up in the cult. I don't know what exactly his position was.
If you're I get the Vollers mixed up with another big name that had a big fallout, but he might be the one that was like head of ATIA, the homeschooling.
So I think he was basically, supposed to step in and lead ATI after, Bill Gothard retired or something.
Well, no,
along those lines.
that was just, he was in charge of the homeschooling program, I think.
Okay. Okay, maybe that's what it was.
Gothard had 63 other programs to
Right,
run.
right. But he got caught cheating on his wife with his secretary, I believe it was.
Yes.
or some sort of assistant
No,
person?
I actually know.
Okay, so it was his secretary.
I worked with her for like 3 months. I know.
Oh, you're kidding.
I know her.
Oh, wow. So he got caught cheating.
Yes.
Ended up leaving his wife, divorcing his wife so he could marry his mistress and have a new family. He was definitely excommunicated.
Yeah. And
Now, the rest of the family wasn't.
no.
Not necessarily. They were not nearly as involved anymore. In fact, one of the sons went and started his own company. Can I say the name of it? I don't think
Let's
there's-
not.
You don't want to say? Okay.
Let's not.
So, but it was still very cult adjacent.
Yeah.
I will say. He was actually a good dude, pretty misguided, still very,
It's a personal family
fanatical,
tragedy.
I would say, about the tenets of the cult.
Yeah.
Like, he still lived by the principles, I would say, but was no longer deeply involved with the cult like the family had been previously before the patriarch cheated with his secretary and then started a new family.
And man, did they try to subdue that information.
Oh, dude. And in the end, and this was the one where my mom was like, whoa, what? They tried to blame the whole thing on the wife. And basically published this piece about how or what women need to do so their husbands don't cheat on them.
Yeah.
You remember that?
No, I can't remember if I was working. I think I was still working there, but I worked at a training center where like we didn't get the gossip.
Yeah, you were. You didn't get all the juicy details.
No. We were the shining example.
And I want to clarify that. I don't think anyone blamed Mrs. Voller directly for what happened, but rather than publish an article or a book about how to be a faithful husband, which that would make a little more sense. Like, hey, don't cheat on your wife with your secretary and start a new family or whatever, right? Instead, it was, oh, we definitely need to get an article out about how women can keep their man from cheating on them.
Yep.
Just
Classic.
that's mind-blowingly ignorant, and that was one of the factors that ultimately brought my mom to the point where she was like, I don't agree with these people anymore.
Yeah, they talk a lot about responsibility, but the reality is that the man doesn't have to take responsibility because he's the authority.
Yeah,
he can trip and ask for forgiveness, and then they will figure out a way to make sure that the spouse, the partner, the young girl, changes herself more dramatically than.
Oh yeah, like if Mr. Voller had cheated and then repented and gotten back with Mrs. Voller, I guarantee you the article would have been about how to forgive your husband after an indiscretion.
They would have created a conference,
Yes.
and a book,
Yes.
and the whole thing would have been spun up to make money.
Yeah.
Immediately.
And I will even say I don't know the specific teachings on this, but I heard enough references to it that I know that it was part of their ethos, if you will, and that is cheating is not necessarily a reason to get divorced.
Yeah, I don't know what they consider a reason to get divorced.
Like I said, it would have to be something literally against the law.
No, sir. Not against the law, against the Bible.
Oh, against the yes.
Come on, they do stuff against the law all the time.
Excellent clarification there, Brice. Thank you for that. Yeah, I was way out of line on that one. Yes,
For real.
The law of God.
Yeah.
Right.
As they interpret.
We have to adhere to.
As they interpret it.
Yeah, great.
In this
Whatever
organization,
fits their narrative.
If we move from this organization to a different organization, it's a different way of interpreting it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
So I've watched these clips, and it's just insane. But then I realized I think I came to an agreement with Holly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So what does she keep saying? She keeps saying that this is not a traditional cult, or this doesn't meet the tenets as she sees them of a traditional cult. It's like, all right, you're right, not a traditional cult. This is 2024. And there's all kinds of technology now that wasn't in the past. But I will propose this, that it is a MLM cult.
Oh,
It is a
pyramid scheme cult.
Because think about it. A cult is typically, it's very usually small. Like you're lucky to get a couple hundred people.
Yeah. Right.
That's hard to get those people to all agree, to all do the same thing. Bill Gothard weaponized traveling around, getting all of his stuff out into all of these different families all over the world, and then had them subscribe to a thing where they had to pay money every year to keep getting his good stuff. Yeah. And then they would go and get other families, like, you should join, this is great. It is multi-level marketing cult.
Yeah.
That is what I'm calling it.
I agree with that. No, multi-level marketing cult, that's a great term for it. I will still say it is 100% a regular, normal, verifiable cult. Just a cult. Sure, they were way more successful than most cults, and probably because they didn't have some of the restrictions other cults had, right? The Branch Davidians, not everyone wanted to move out to Waco, Texas, into their weird death trap of a compound.
Holly doesn't even realize. She's like, oh, every family could do this, blah, 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 different, blah, blah, blah. Does she not remember how we spoke that every training center was its own little kingdom with its own little special rules based on how the director, because there are directors that were absolutely dictators. We're talking showing favoritism to some people, treating other people like total crap. I was in one that was not...
A little more loosey-goosey.
Well, not loosey-goosey. They actually followed the letter of what Bill Gothard really... Like, it was the example of what a training center should be like. There was almost... I don't know of any favoritism.
Okay.
There was also no fun.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's like, oh, guess what, guys? We're going to watch this basic seminar again after dinner.
It was still... a volunteer staff for the most part, and the paid staff was making not a livable wage.
No.
So you were basically trapped there.
We weren't allowed to just leave whenever we wanted.
No, you couldn't just meander around. You still had to follow the rules. Women still couldn't wear pants.
No. Couldn't sit next to them.
Were men allowed to wear shorts?
No. Shorts.
Okay.
Jeans.
Yeah. There was a bit of denim. Mostly, I mean, in Life Focus, in the whatever you want to call the program that I was in, we all wore BDUs.
Yeah.
You know, the military style pants with the cargo pockets. Those are actually kind of cool. I actually miss those.
Look, as a man, you want cargo pants because you know your woman's going to hand you something to hold or carry.
Or your other man.
Let's
not discriminate there.
Sure.
And actually, cargo pants are back, baby. They were gone for a long time.
Not for me. Who do you think bought them back?
Because you don't care about fashion, Brice.
It's because I was a photographer and you keep batteries in there.
Oh, that's true. You had a practical purpose for your cargo pants. Yeah.
They're always a practical purpose. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know. I was so happy.
Where do you keep your tots?
When the skinny pants thing became popular, I was just like, oh, this is great. Because I have skinny legs. I think you can see them on camera right now.
Not really. They're so skinny.
They're just invisible.
You need to focus.
No, there's just actually like a shadow where your legs should be. It's so strange. But yeah, the cargo pants are back now. And so I'm obviously going to have to, get myself a pair because I don't have any currently.
Just
go back to the BDUs. Just relive my youth. Did you watch the episode where I went back to the Indianapolis training center? Dude, that was a trip. That was a surreal experience. I felt like I was in a dream the whole time. It was such a crazy feeling. I didn't get emotional like I thought I might. Like I didn't cry or have a breakdown or anything like that. It was really just more of a, is this real type feeling.
Maybe you weren't there long enough.
I was there for like a solid hour and a half. Just
no. I mean,
in the training center. Yeah, I mean, realistically, I was only there for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Before I got booted.
For Lindsay, it was a big deal, and I have a feeling if I was in Oklahoma City, it might be a little bit more of a big deal. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not to cheapen your experience, but it was a short time.
But yeah,
but it was a worse
totally
time.
right. Well, not worse than Lindsay. That's
true. No.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, it was a little bit traumatizing in retrospect, I'll say. And the part that hit me hardest was walking around the back of the former training center, the former compound, and seeing the windows where the prayer rooms were.
Yeah.
That part, it was just like, oof, that memory doesn't necessarily feel good. But again, it was more I was just kind of like in awe that I was back.
Yeah.
I mean, because this experience for me, I was 16 years old when I got sent to the compound for Life Focus, and I had not been back. I hadn't just not been back to the compound. I hadn't been back to Indianapolis or even Indiana since I got sent away.
Yeah.
Right. And so however many years later, 24 years later, being back on that campus, I mean, a lot had changed because they turned it into a culinary school, a culinary community college. So there were a lot of things that were different, but the dining hall, that was still there. The kitchen, where I did hours and hours worth of dishes,
I washed
that was
dishes
still there. The elevators still looked the exact same. And that top floor, that weird, I don't know, penthouse.
It was nice.
It was very nice. And they had remodeled parts of it, but for the most part, it was still intact. The big thing that was missing, and I confirmed it with Lindsay because I don't trust my memory at all. So I asked her, wasn't there another like seminar room, not the dining room on the first floor, but wasn't there like a seminar room on the second floor? And she was like, yeah, there was. And I was like, that wasn't there anymore. I think they turned it into individual classrooms or something. I don't know what they did. I couldn't find it, but I specifically remember that seminar room, mostly because I had a rendezvous point there outside of the conference room with one of the ladies that I fraternized with during my stay.
I have a memory of the big dining hall where for some reason all of the guys started lining up and confessing to everybody and then crying. And then I have another memory of being on that top floor where there was a bunch of teams up there and we were playing Dutch Blitz.
Dutch Blitz. Oh,
The only unofficially approved game.
Yeah, I never actually played Dutch Blitz, I don't believe.
I don't remember how it works. I don't think you're missing much.
Yeah.
Playing cards were evil somehow. There was some sort of
Right.
demonic reference to all of the...
Something about the one-eyed jacks, probably.
Who knows?
Maybe just the affiliation with gambling. Who knows, dude?
When I found out that Bill Gothard was the one behind the whole Cabbage Patch is evil, but then I could find zero specific documentation on whatever the theory. Like, I just remember hearing it was bad, and then everybody accepting it was bad.
They were somehow affiliated with demons. Like, each Cabbage Patch doll was a demon or something along those lines. Just like drums summoned demons. And they had all these explanations and stories about how, well, we went to Africa and we were playing our music and the tribal people were like, why are you playing this music that summons demons?
That's right.
Okay.
Did you know that the drums, the offbeat, it affects your rhythm of your heart? Okay.
Yeah, gives you cancer or something like that, right?
Yeah. You're going to have so much cancer.
There was just so much weird shit in general within the Shiny Happy People cult. But I mean, to kind of summarize Mommy Answer Lady's whole take on this, she's basically trying to say, because it doesn't strictly adhere to these 6 principles plus 3, it's not actually a cult.
And if it's not a cult and you admire it so much, join. It still exists.
Oh, yeah. You could absolutely go out to Big Sandy right now.
Send them some money.
Well, she did kind of tease in the documentary trailer for Shiny Slander. She did tease that it looked like she actually went out and met with Bill Gothard.
Right.
I don't know if like I said, I don't even know if the documentary has been published yet.
I'm ready. Let's get some people together and go to the next conference.
Oh, that would be so much fun.
We'll stand outside with signs.
Yeah, no, let's just go in there and shout everybody down. I'm a stand-up comedian. I can make it funny. We can just roast them from the audience until they kick us out and excommunicate us.
Even better, sir. We pretend like we're going to confess, and we get
Oh,
up there.
that's so good.
And we start confessing, and then we
Whip our dicks
flip
out?
the script. Okay, you need to calm down.
Okay,
I don't
sorry.
need to. I don't want to be on a list. I know that you're still trying to get off the list, and I don't want to be on a list. So no, we just go 4 minutes in confession, and then we flip the script.
Oh, I love that. What do you think you would talk about? So you do your 4 minutes of confession.
You know
and you flip the script.
Yeah, you know I improv.
Okay.
I'll be in the moment,
All right. Just kind of feel it out.
feel it out, and see who's crying the
Vibe
most.
with the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, maybe I'll get the Holy Ghost. We don't know.
We don't know, dude. We don't know. We probably need to. Well, I mean, we're basically confessing to it on a podcast episode, so I'm sure Holly would go and rat us out. But they don't know who we are. We could go down to Big Sandy and
They don't have the interwebs.
do some shenanigans. Let's go do shenanigans at Big Sandy.
Totally ready.
It's not even that far away.
Yeah, and Bill Gothard's not allowed to go there.
He's not. He's not allowed on premises. He's trying to regain control of the cult, and I don't even think we're really allowed to talk about that. But there's ongoing legal stuff where he's trying to regain control of the cult. Chad Harris knows a bunch about that. I don't really know that much because honestly, I don't care what Bill Gothard is up to. I really don't.
I'm just going to say we're going to always keep Chad Harris as a good friend.
Absolutely.
Because I don't want to.
I don't know how he
I don't want
gets
to.
information.
Well, I don't want to throw that switch against me.
That's what I'm saying, too.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, we become the target.
Exactly.
No, Chad, we love you.
You're the best.
You're an incredible dude, and you can do no wrong. Yeah. There have been people that have gone and talked to Bill Gothard. People that watched our podcast series.
Right.
One of them reached out to me, said that he'd had multiple conversations with Bill Gothard, essentially, trying to hold him accountable for all the trauma that he caused in his life. And Bill Gothard was willing to have those conversations, even though he disagreed and never really took any responsibility, much less apologized, right?
Yeah. Certainly
Couldn't do that. But yeah, I really don't care that much about what Bill Gothard is or isn't doing. What I do care about, though, is that we do not repeat the same mistakes and create a new generation of traumatized people with the teachings of the Shiny Happy People cult.
It would be nice. I mean, they are thankfully spiraling and slowly shuttering and liquidating.
Yeah.
And just falling apart because there is not another generation.
No. Everyone got hip
Yeah.
to the fact that this is all nonsense and people want to have happy, fulfilling lives.
Yeah.
No, I think a big part of it is social media.
Of course.
People just have more access, immediate access to all these different cultures, all these different experiences. Why in the world would I want to restrict myself from that?
Yeah.
It's craziness. Well, Brice, I really appreciate you coming back, giving us some updates on life, giving us some updates on the Shiny Happy People cult. And I hope we can do a few more of these episodes because people missed you, dude. It kind of hurt my feelings a little bit. If I'm being honest, hurt my feelings a little bit that people were commenting on the videos that Brice was not in and not asking me how I was doing or saying, hey, Davey, great job on this episode. Just, hey, where's Brice? We miss Brice. Bring back Brice.
I appreciate the love and people asking, and I'm doing well. I've got lots of support from Davey and family and friends, and things are moving along. And I want to thank Holly for the content because there's like 18 videos I haven't even seen yet. So there's at least 20 more episodes like this.
What a delusional lady. But whatever. I guess
Maybe she should run for office. I mean, she fits the mold.
Oh, dude, I'm sure she will at some point. But y'all, thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next week. We love you.